Read it? Gone through it? Yeah, good. Because it's very, Srila Guru Maharaj brings out, very high things. And his translation is like also kind of an explanation. Whereas Prabhupada has a more kind of direct translation and with explanation below. And the explanations are kind of very much reaching out to new devotees. And Srila Guru Maharaj's explanations kind of assume experience in Krishna consciousness, right? So it's just, they're very different. Sometimes people say, well, they don't get it. They say, well, why did Srila Gurudev or Srila Sridhar Maharaj come out with a Bhagavad Gita after Srila Prabhupada? And we say, he actually wrote it in 1947. It was already done. It's way older than Srila Prabhupada's. And not only that, it covers the Gita in a different, deeper way. Are we on? Oh, okay. Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Srila Bhakti Rakhak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Srila Bhakti Nirmal Acharya Maharaj ki jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswatamat Acharya Brinda ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bo. Okay, so we continue with our study of chapter 2. Srila Gurudev has titled this chapter Sankhya Yoga, which is like the original title. But Srila Prabhupada has made it Contents of the Gita summarized, because Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his introduction to the second chapter said like that this covers the whole scope of the Bhagavad Gita in a compact way. So as we read through this, it's describing, Srila Guru Maharaj says, the constitution of the soul, the nature of the soul, which is really, what the Bhagavad Gita talks about. What is the, first Krishna talks about the nature of the soul as being, it can't be burnt, it can't be drowned, it can't be so many different things. The soul can't be touched by any material element. And then he develops the nature of the soul and goes on, ultimately to teach us about, the soul's position within this world, how to function as a real, awake living being, to function in unity with Krishna, even though we're within this world. And then he finally goes on to teach us, to just really not be concerned with any external rules and regulations, practices, anything. Just surrender to him and he'll take care. Sarva dharmam parityagya. We all know that verse. So, it's actually, it applies on all levels of our devotion, but at the same time, because we understand Krishna does everything. Krishna is behind everything. If we just try to serve him, he'll take care of us. That's like our faith. And of course, the only reason we're able to have that faith is because we have the shelter of our divine gurus. I mean, otherwise, to have that kind of developed faith is really not possible. So, we're learning. Sometimes we remember, sometimes we don't remember. But as we develop in Krishna consciousness, we start to remember more and more and more. And, even though it's like we're going millimeters at a time instead of, kilometers, still we're developing. We know that. And at a certain point, the whole thing is set into motion so that automatically we we become free from the material energy. Like a ball rolling down a hill or a snowball, Srila Prabhupada used to tell us. Okay, so anyway, we're in the Bhagavad Gita, 2nd chapter, Constitution of the Soul, and we're on verse 48. And I'll read the English first, and then we'll read it after also and discuss it. But it's nice to hear the English and then listen to the Sanskrit and kind of pick out the words as best we can. And of course, we'll go through the transliteration also. So Krishna says, "O Dhananjaya, give up the ego that you are the doer and be equipoised in success and failure. Thus, stand firm in the plane of yoga and do your prescribed duties. Such a state of balance is indeed known as yoga." Okay, now listen to Gurudev. All right, okay. This is 48. We can kind of follow along with the Sanskrit as best we can, and then we'll recite it.
Yogastha Guru Karamani Sadgam Tvapta Dhananjaya Siddha Siddho Samo Gutta Samattan Yoga Yuchati.
Jai Gurudev. So, we've reviewed this before, but it's always helpful for us to remember that when the pure Vaishnava, the genuine Paramahansa Vaishnava, recites something that has come down from, in this case, Krishna himself, it has, a different kind of potency than, when it's recited by, somebody like us who are working to develop Krishna consciousness. Of course, there's potency there. The potency is not limited by the person who's preaching or speaking. The person who's hearing actually has access to, the guru who's conveying the message. So in spite of the limitations of the speaker, the hearer can get, the real potency if his heart is open and if he's sincere. So the reciprocal exchange works like that. There's an exchange between the chanter and kirtanam, the person doing kirtan, and the shravanam, the person who's hearing. There's a reciprocal exchange, but beyond that, there's an exchange between the person who's hearing and the divine guru. So things happen and things come and develop and get realized that can be way beyond the capacity of the speaker. This is because the whole thing is, is transcendental and alive. And not only that, but connected directly. This is the mercy. We've been thrown a line in the middle of the ocean, and we have that line, and we're holding on to that line, and we're helping others grab lines also. That's our good fortune. Okay, so I'll say it and then we'll say it together. Siddhya siddhyo samo bhutva samadvam yoga uchyate durena yavaram karma buddhi yoga dhananjaya. Okay, let's try it. Siddhya siddhyo samo bhutva samadvam yoga uchyate durena yavaram karma buddhi yoga dhananjaya. Okay, let's look at this. 48. Dhananjaya, of course, is Arjuna. Siddhi, asiddhyo, in success or failure. So siddhi is called success, asiddhya, failure. Siddhi means really acquisition of some kind of, progressive thing depending on your level of consciousness. Devotional siddhis happen where we're actually able to perform devotion in a better way. Srila Gurudev told me like that it happens through our development, we can help people in a deeper way. Just like he was so developed and high, he could see everyone's heart. That's a result of course, his connection with Krishna, but also it's called the siddhi. So success or failure, siddhi asiddhya. Kuru karmani, do your duties. Samatvam, this equanimity, uchyate, is called yoga. Yogaha, O Dhananjaya. So stand in yoga. Yoga sta, stiti, sta. These mean standing, situated, fixed. And sangam is called ego. So tyaktva, give up, sangam, ego. Give up your ego. Don't be worried. Samabhutva, be equipoised in success or failure, and do your duty. Krishna advised, and this is called yoga, he says. So we know yoga from Sanskrit comes from yukta, which means to like harness, like a cow is harnessed, or rather a bull is harnessed. And so in a similar way, yoga like harnesses us back under the control of, the Supreme Lord. So Krishna is saying this is yoga, means that this brings about a connection with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. What he's referring to is not just some kind of, karmic activity that will elevate you to the heavenly planets, or, free you from reactions, or something based on personal calculation. Yet sometimes it's interpreted like that. But actually, he's telling Arjuna, you just, work for me, do your duty, and the results will be up to me. And don't worry about success or failure. Just be balanced and go on in your serving activities. And this is yoga, Krishna says. Okay. So, question? No? Okay. Okay, so we listen to Gurudev. The next verse, 49.
Purina chavarang karma buddhi yoga dhananjaya buddho dharman nicha kripana aladitava buddhi yukto.
I went a little far. Okay. So anyway, what I meant to come to in the last discussion on the last verse was that, when we hear Gurudev chanting, it's like out of this world. It's very special and very powerful. It's not just, oh, that's our teacher saying the words so that we can understand the proper pronunciation or something. It's like way beyond that. It has to do with, him directly giving us the pure vibrational energy of Bhagavad Gita. There's so much potency in sound, we have no idea. But sound is the vehicle through which spiritual essence is conveyed. So when sound is utilized by a Paramahansa Vaishnava, it's like, very potent and real. And even though we can barely perceive that, still it has the effect. It's like, even if you don't understand how medicine works, whether it's Ayurvedic or herbal or homeopathic, or, even they call it allopathic, the modern pharmaceutical stuff. Even if you don't understand how it works, it works. So, in the same way, the descent of transcendental knowledge by the grace of the divine empowered master, it just works. It just has power. We don't need to understand, but we can at the same time appreciate how this, tremendous potency is coming like to us. We're very fortunate that this is entering our ears, and from our ears going to our hearts, and enabling us to progress in spite of our different material attachments. So this is very powerful. So we'll read verse 49 in English, then we'll try the Sanskrit together. O Dhananjaya, fruitive action is far inferior to this yoga of wisdom. Those motivated by the fruits of their actions are misers. Therefore, seek refuge in the selfless wisdom of equanimity. You know what a miser is? Misers?
Yes.
Yes, okay. Kripana, right? You know that? What's it in Spanish?
Huh?
What's kripana? Miser? What is miser in Spanish?
We are miserables.
Huh?
Miserables.
Okay, so very similar, huh? Okay. So these are motivated, people who are motivated to get stuff by acting, to receive stuff. Why does Krishna call them misers? Because they're selfish, and they're doing it for themselves, and they're holding it for themselves. Whereas the devotee works, and there's a result which he spreads around to the other devotees and the people in general. That's like the example given that when transcendental knowledge descends, you're just a broadcaster. You're a speaker of receiving something that's coming from, the transcendental. No CDs anymore. MP3 in the sky. You're just a speaker. It's just coming through you, and the potency, because we try to be in a giving spirit, that potency actually passes through, and therefore devotees, people who are trying, at least, who have that inner drive to try, they're not kripanas. Okay, we should do the Sanskrit. Okay. It's the back page. So I'll do it first, and then we'll do it together. Durena hyavaram karma buddhi yogad dhananjaya buddhau sharanam anvitcha kripana phala hetavaha. Okay, let's try it. Durena hyavaram karma buddhi yoga dhananjaya buddhau sharanam anvitcha kripana phala hetava. Okay. So we know phala, hetava, but hetava means motivation. Phala is fruit. So those who are motivated by the fruit of action, they are kripana, misers. But those who, what does it say? Those who are equipoised in success and failure, that statement doesn't indicate just a kind of a neutral position where the person has withdrawn from karmic activity. Rather, by progressive revelation, Krishna is going to show that state is his service. That it has to do with tasting a higher essence, and then being worried about success and failure is it's not a factor. Though in the beginning sometimes our gurus will encourage us to be successful in our service, but that is utilizing the nature of the disciple in relation to the material energy, and empowering the disciple to use his particular consciousness in contact with the material energy as service, and in that way become purified. So we used to have, book distribution competition. You weren't around for that, huh? We had, every kind of competition Srila Prabhupada had us do. And, it was for beginners, but it was very effective. We just got totally absorbed in it, and it was, it was a wonderful, means through which we could get our whole consciousness absorbed, and in that way, gradually break away from the ego. By utilizing the ego in service, we break away from the ego. This is, one of the secrets of Bhagavad Gita. So give up the ego that you are the doer. The modes of material nature are working in conjunction with Maya, and above Maya there's Krishna, and everything is being done by those activities, and our position is one not of the decider in the results of the work. Even though it's thought, if you work really hard, you'll get a result. And, to some extent we find that's true, but if we look deeper, we understand that person is able to work hard and impelled to work hard because he's got that, he's got that conditioned nature. And another person is lazy and sleeping and not working hard because he's got that conditioned nature. But the what's the word? The underlying factor is that there is free will. So there's enough free will there where the person who is sleeping can get up, and where the person who is engaged in furious rajasic passionate activity can gradually develop to a more open and less selfish activity by the choice of the of the soul, the free will of the soul, which must always be there, and underlies the principle of connection with Sri Guru. That the freedom of the soul can feel necessity for freedom, necessity for understanding, necessity for love. The soul can feel that and know that and make choices to fulfill that. Within the material realm, the choices are limited by karmic activity. But within the spiritual realm, the choices are unlimited. And that means that based on our devotional inclination, if we, behind our activity is a desire for service, a desire for purity, that activity is devotion. So while we don't, in our particular stage, take it to extremes like Nityananda Prabhu did, but the underlying fact is there. And this, we're being able to glimpse that nature of reality, that, everything turns on Krishna's service. Nothing turns on any other factor. And what underlies that service is, Bhakti Devi, pure love, affection, devotion, dedication, beauty, everything is contained in that devotion. So we have a chance to contact that devotion, and that is, great mercy for us. So fruit of action is far inferior to the yoga of wisdom. The yoga of wisdom is, here he's saying, be in equanimity, be balanced. Don't worry about the result. And, you know, maybe you could do it temporarily just by kind of trying to force yourself. But the reality is to do it in a conscious way, through surrender, that position becomes like part of your existence. So that's, you know, that as we progress in Bhagavad Gita, we'll see that really Krishna is always pointing towards that, you know, his final conclusion. It's not as though these things are not related. They're all pointing in that direction. They're all, you know, underlain with that kind of transcendental understanding. But he's presenting in such a way so that there can be a gradual revelation of what's going on. Okay, what time is it? Can you see the clock?
7:30.
Okay, we have a lot of time. Okay, so we'll do verse 50. Oh no, this thing went off. Okay, let's see if we can wake it up.
Maharaj, I'm going to the belfry now.
Okay, okay. How do I do this?
Atiha Ueshu Krita Tatmad Yogaya Vigraha Yoga Karmashu Kaushalam Karma Jaga Buddhi Yukta Hi Palam Takka Mani Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara.
Oh boy. What the heck? Oh man, okay.
Shaktim Prati Bhagavishakya Prasattanam Tayapa Isachetasa Vyavasayatmika Buddhi Samadhu no Vijiyate Traygunna Vishaya Veda Nistraygunna Bhavachana Nittando Nittasatsattho Niryoga Khemayatmama Javararthadudo Pani Sarvata Sankrutu Tavam Sarveshu Vedeshu Brahmanasya Vidartaha Karvani Bhadikaraste Ma Phaleshu Kadachana Ma Karma Phalahetu Bhut Ma Deshangu Takarmani
48. Okay, so now we do 50. Sorry for that. This thing gets shut off every 10 minutes and I pushed the wrong button and lost the position. So here's verse 50. Okay. So the wise person abstains from both good and bad actions in this world. Engage in yoga, as yoga is the art of all works. Okay, so we'll do the Sanskrit and then discuss. So first I'll say the Sanskrit, then we all recite together. Tasmad yogaya yujvasva yoga karmasu kaushalam karma jam buddhi yukta hi palam tyaktva manishinaha. Okay. Tasmad yogaya yujvasva yoga karmasu kaushalam karma jam buddhi yukta hi palam tyaktva manishinaha. You do that really well. You've done this a long time, huh? You've done this for many years. Chanted the Gita, yeah. Because it's not easy to immediately follow the meter and the words and everything. It takes some experience. Okay, so again, the wise person abstains from both good and bad actions in the world. So, buddhi yukta, the wise person. Jihati abstains. Ubhe from both sukra duskrita. So we've heard this before. Sukha dukkha. From a pious sukrita and sinful dukrita. Like good and bad actions in this world. Iha. Then tasmat, therefore, yujvasva, engage, yoga, in yoga. Kaushalam, the expertise, karmashu, of action. And Prabhupada, or Srila Guru Maharaj translates it as, yoga is the art of all works. Though the direct translation is the expertise in action. So, expertise means that you take something as art. So, again, Krishna is expanding on the whole idea of being renounced from, the external results of activities. And, leading up to the point where he's going to show us that really the only way to lastingly get to that position is to engage in positive devotional service. Jai Shishi Guru Gauranga Radha Giridhari Ju Ki Jai. And then he advises, engage thus in yoga, as yoga is the art of all works. So yoga, yukta, harness, connect, reconnect with the, the source of our existence. And I remember it's interesting, I think it was in one of Srila Prabhupada's books where he says that religion comes from religio, which means to bind back or return. So it's very, it's very similar. Religio, return to our original position. Yukta, yoga, become reharnessed by the, by the supreme driver. Become the cow or the bull of the driver.
Reunite.
Yes, reunite. Okay. So again, Krishna advising to engage in yoga, and by the grace of our gurus, we know ultimately what yoga is. It means, like we've heard earlier, this buddhi has to do with buddhi yoga, which ultimately must be bhakti yoga, because the the logical conclusion of intelligent application of everything Krishna is saying is that buddhi yoga means intelligent yoga, which means understanding what's going on with the process of yoga. And if you understand what's happening with the process of yoga, you try to cooperate and act within the bounds of that understanding. So to know buddhi yoga means to engage in transcendental, loving devotional service. So it's 51.
Karma yukta hi phalam tattva manishina janma bandha vinirmukta padam gacchantanamayam.
Oops. Always kind of get the first word lost. So, 51. The wise are enlightened by giving up the fruits of their actions and thus attaining liberation from the bondage of birth. They reach the plane beyond all suffering. Okay. So... Srila Prabhupada's translation is very similar. Free themselves from the cycle of birth and death. Attaining liberation from the bondage of birth, Guru Maharaj says. So let's try the Sanskrit. Let's see. 51. Karmam jam buddhiyukta hi palam tyaktva manishinaha janma bandha vinirmukta taha padam gachanti anamayam. You don't have a book, huh? Okay. Okay. Oh, you could do it up there, actually. I haven't moved it. Okay. It's the next page. So 51. Karma jam buddhiyukta hi palam tyaktva manishinaha janma bandha vinirmuktaha padam gacchati gacchanamayam. Gacchata. When there's a Y there, it links through to the next word. So the breakdown. I can't see that very well. There we go. Okay, tyaktva, we've heard that before. Renouncing, giving up. Palam, those, again, we've heard that also. The fruits. Karma jam, which are born, must be derived from janma, born of work. Buddhi yukta, those who are wise, those who have wisdom, and yukta implies they're connected. Manishinaha, they're enlightened, shanta. Janma bandha vinirmukta, they attain vinir mukta, liberation, from janma bandha, the bondage of repeated birth and death. Gacchati, they attain padam, the plane, anamayam, beyond suffering. So every verse that Krishna gives is packed with depth and understanding. And when very intelligent but good people read the Bhagavad Gita, it blows their mind, because there's so much depth in every verse, so much understanding that can be brought out by meditating on the Bhagavad Gita. And we've all seen the list of really, advanced thinkers who really appreciated the Bhagavad Gita. And actually, in the days of the transcendentalists in New England, in America, they all read Bhagavad Gita, and some of them really took shelter of Bhagavad Gita. We know Thoreau did, we know Emerson did, and others took shelter. And we know Einstein read Bhagavad Gita. Why would a physicist read Bhagavad Gita? And what to speak of what was his name? Oppenheimer, who was a German scientist that somehow we captured, and he helped us develop the bomb in late 44 into 45. And when the first explosion went off, he quoted the Bhagavad Gita. So why are physicists reading the Bhagavad Gita? Because there's depth there of understanding about how the world is functioning, and what lays, behind the external coverings of the world, which is really what the physicists are looking at. But they're trying to probe it in a material way. But they're probing it also by understanding, seeing things, and theorizing what's possible. And some of them go in the right direction, some of them don't. But we know from the Bhagavad Gita and from the practical, understanding that comes to us by the grace of our gurus, we know what lies at the source of existence. In Chaitanya Charitamrita, Kaviraj Goswami, we're just reading, underlies the whole setup of creation and how Krishna expands in so many different forms to bring about creation, and how that self-same Krishna descends as Mahaprabhu. That's given by Kaviraj Goswami. So, the wise are enlightened by giving up the fruits of their actions. Aha. So, by doing this, the light of understanding grows more and more. So even if it's like not pure devotion, they're trying to just give up the fruits. The clarity of perception, Krishna is telling us, is increased. So these people who are good, who are trying to give up things and give to others and so many things, if they continue on that path, their consciousness will open and they'll see, what is the conclusion of this idea of giving up the results and giving everything. At the base of this, or at the peak of this, is service to the Supreme Lord, who's speaking here directly. Okay, so we're on 52. We're going to miss the first. Maybe I'll try and go back. How do you go back a little bit? Just this thing?
You put your finger on the dot and slightly move it back. You don't remove it from the dot. You put the finger, keep it, and then slowly move it back.
Jump to time. Okay, well, let's see what happened. Okay, we're looking at 52, and it begins with Yada. Yada te moha kalilam. Okay.
Suti Pipatipannati Jada Dhashyati Nishchala Samadhavachala Buddhi Sada Jugam Avapshati Patrubhata Sita Pradkashaka Bhata Samadhisthasya Kesava Sitadi King Prabhaseka Kima Shika Pradeka King.
I've completely lost it. Let me just go back. Try this. Okay. This is 52. Okay. When your intelligence fully emerges from the dense forest of illusion, you will be indifferent to all that has been heard or is yet to be heard. It's amazing. Imagine, we hear it in English, but this is like transferred from Sanskrit according to the understanding of English and according to the limitations of the English language. So we can just, by reading the Sanskrit, we can kind of, feel the potency of what's being given. Each sloka is like, bam! Powerful stuff. And it comes through in English very powerful also. But, we can imagine if we feel something from the English, what we would feel if we really, entered into the consciousness and kind of floated along with the the Sanskrit consciousness of the sloka. Very powerful, and we can perceive the wonderful chance that we all have to to find the depth of this Bhagavad Gita and be able to eventually really enter into it and flow with it. Like we know Srila Govinda Maharaj used to read a chapter every day. And some would say, well, I mean, the Bhagavad Gita is just a beginner's book. But actually he said, every time I read the Bhagavad Gita, I see something new. And that's the case with me too. I've read it, I don't know, 20, 30 times, maybe more. And every time you read it, there's more there. It's just it's unending, like the devotional world. Krishna has brought down the devotional world, and he's speaking it in Bhagavad Gita. And he's speaking it in such a way so that people can be kind of attracted and pulled in and be engaged in activities which will bring them to the understanding of his ultimate supremacy. Okay, so let's look at Karmajam Buddhayuktahi. No, 52. Okay. Yada te moha kalilang buddhir vyati tarishyati. Okay. Yada, when, like yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata. When and whenever and whenever yada hi dharmasya, when the dharma degrades, I descend myself. So here again, yada. Yada te, you. This te, tu, tat, all these are connected with you or your. Buddhi, we've heard this so many times lately, intelligence. Vyatitarishyati, overcomes moha. Moha is illusion. Kalilam, kali, it's translated as bodily identification. Kalilam. It seems like it's connected with the personality of Kali, but maybe not. Okay, tada, then, twang, it's assumed twang. Sometimes say in Sanskrit, different pronouns and even verbs in certain situations are assumed. It's like, someone who's developed in Sanskrit understands that that particular word is not necessary in the speech. Just like in English, sometimes we speak very fast, and some of the words are either abbreviated or even overlooked, and I think this happens in all languages. So one has to speak of Sanskrit at the origin of all the languages. Okay, so you, twang, will attain gantasi nirvedam, near, that means not, vedam, indifference, no like mental connection. Shrotavyasya, of all to be heard, and shrutasya cha, though that already heard. So we've heard like so many things about the nature of the material world, who we are, psychology, sociology, history, all these different things. People like struggling to understand what's going on with existence. And the academics are dividing the subjects and really studying like mad, one blade of grass to understand why it's green, dedicating their whole lives for stuff like that. And but here Krishna is directly telling us that when this intelligence becomes developed and overcomes the influence of illusion, then whatever we've heard, we don't care about. Why? Because we've found something that is substantial, that not only replaces but also properly explains the position of everything else we've heard. We understand that it's all like related to the dream that we've all been in for so many lifetimes. And if you need to get awake, you want to try to snap out of your dream. And so that's done, as Krishna is indicating, that's done by becoming focused and out of, with your intelligence, and overcoming the strong illusion, enabling us to attain disinterest in things that have to do with this world, like the Green Party or the Marxist Party or the Fascist Party or this or that. We're not interested. It doesn't matter. It's kind of nice to try to, devotees naturally try to be good, and we're in the world, we have to function within the world, so generally we choose goodness. But we see it for what it is. It has to do with the world. It's not going to save the world. It might help a little bit, but the real thing that's going to save the world is a transformation of consciousness. So we focus on that, and not all the temporary different arrangements that everybody's trying to make. Whether it's they're jumping on politics, a new system, let's adjust this system, let's change the system, let's do this, let's do that. So many things like that. Let's make everything organic, let's make everything vegan, let's do this, let's do that. It's just all like so much concoction and so much like dust in the wind. Stuff that just doesn't have any connection with reality. Okay. What time is it? 5:02. Okay, so we'll do another shloka. Let's see. Let me look at this one. Oh, Srila Prabhupada quotes for this particular verse, 51, he quotes the Bhagavatam, 10th canto, where it says that someone who's accepted the boat of the lotus feet of the Lord crosses over the material ocean like one simply steps over the water in the hoof print of a calf. Yeah. Parampadam, the place where there's no material miseries, or Vaikuntha. Okay. 52.
Shruti Vipatipannati Jada Dhashyati Nishchala Samadhavachala Buddhi Sada Yugam Avapshati.
53, sorry. Okay. Shruti Vipratipana Te. Okay, Te is going to be you. So 53. You shall attain perfect yoga or pure devotion when your intelligence, undisturbed by the apparent contradictions of the Vedas, abides in the Lord. So, again, a really like comprehensive, powerful, deep statement that in one like sentence covers so many aspects of devotional development. It's just, mind-blowing how, of course Krishna is the Lord, so he has the capacity to do it. But nonetheless, it's amazing to see how this kind of, conception, high conception, developed conception, a practically unlimited conception, is like wham, just spoken in one verse by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So to really hear Bhagavad Gita, to enter into Bhagavad Gita, you must come to the conclusion that Krishna is Bhagawan, the Supreme Person. So the English, 53, you shall attain perfect yoga or pure devotion when your intelligence, undisturbed by the apparent contradictions of the Veda, abide in the Lord. Okay. So, yada, when? Buddhi, intelligence. Achala, unmoved. Shruti, viprati pana, by the apparent contradictions of Shruti, the Vedas. Shruti, and then viprati pana. That's apparent contradiction. Sta shati remains nischala samadhao, steadily absorbed in consciousness of the Supreme. Nischala samadho. I forget that nischala. It has to do with, I can't remember.
Absorbed in consciousness of Supreme means constantly being aware of presence of Supreme.
Nischala. Yeah, it's related to a particular word in Sanskrit that I can't remember. So, Nischala samadho. Samadha comes from samadhi, of course, which means like fully absorbed. When someone is in samadhi, they're so absorbed, they're just they're lost in transcendence. So when the Vaishnava leaves, it said he's in samadhi.
Consciousness, absorbed in consciousness of the Supreme, means being fully aware of existence of the Lord.
Right. It's like we've been saying that here in the beginning of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna is like giving us clear indication of what underlies the whole presentation of Bhagavad Gita. And it's not like, he's not really directly saying, but he's clearly pointing towards the conclusion that he is the Supreme Lord, and you'll be able to overcome the contradictions. We see, like sometimes we see in amongst devotees or between gurus or in scriptures, we see some apparent contradiction, and the mind maybe will say, or the intelligence will say, I don't understand this. Why is it like this? But we understand that the contradiction appears because we're not fixed in the Supreme Lord. Notice how it says apparent contradiction. Everything is presented in the Vedas for elevation. And there's so many Vedas, so many Shruti, which is the Veda, and Smriti, commentary on the Veda, and there appears sometimes to be contradictions, even in the single works of, say, Srila Sridhar Maharaj. He may say one thing in one situation and another thing in another situation, but understanding that those are totally different situations, perceived in a totally different way by consciousness that we have no access to. So therefore, we just accept. The perceived contradiction that pops into our mind is just off. We just have to discard it. And, eventually it just becomes a natural thing. And that's called faith and developed faith. And somebody maybe who did that in previous lifetimes just will have it. Have you just had it? No? Okay. I think my son maybe did, but I'm not sure. Okay, so what more to be said? So then you will attain to yoga, steadily absorbed in the consciousness of the Supreme. Samadha vachala buddhis tada yogam avapyasi. So again, Achala. Where was I? Oh, 53. Can't find Achala. Achala, unmoved by the apparent contradictions, right? So, consciousness supreme, you know, here it like confirms Krishna's definition of yoga, that it means consciousness of the Supreme. And that's the true way that we become detached from the results of our actions. We want to work for Krishna, and because of that, in faith, we know Krishna will give the result as he likes, one way or the other. So, but it's hard, and it's actually natural. I was told by Gurudev, it's actually natural for the devotee who's still in material consciousness to want to please his master by being successful in executing the order of the master. So, you know, it's a kind of a subtle a difference that we have to point out, that when in contact with the master, we have a spiritual obligation to fulfill that order. Like Srila Govinda Maharaj himself had a checklist of all these different things he had to do for his Guru Maharaj. And he had to do it, and he did it. You know, one way or other. So, you know, to have an understanding of what our Gurudev wanted of us, or wants of us, and to try to do that with, with full energy, with good energy, we should, you know, worry about the result, because that's where our consciousness is at, and that's where the Guru has descended to. He wants something to go on, apparently on the temporary plane, and apparently through temporary arrangements, when actually it's transcendental. So you have to push your energy and your perception of self, the self that you know, you have to push that self towards succeeding in the following the order of Sri Guru. Like to get this building, we had to really push. And we were really, you know, sad and freaked out that we couldn't get the building faster. We couldn't get something for Gurudev for years. And it was, you know, terribly distressing. So it was something that was like beyond the range of attachment to, fruitive activities. There's an attachment to the service of Sri Guru and the fulfillment of his desires that is attached to the transcendental realm, and has to do not with the functions of the temporary energy that actually is situated within yoga, or in this case, like yoga Maya instead of Mahamaya. There's some, you know, there's some clear distinction. Okay, so do we end there? Yes. And the next verse, 54, Arjuna uvacha stiti pragyasya ka basha. What does he say? Arjuna said, O Keshava, what are the characteristics of a person firmly established in wisdom who is fully absorbed in consciousness of the Supreme, Samadhi? How does such a man of steady mind speak, be, and act in this world? That'll be interesting. See how Krishna replies. Jai Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Srila Bhakti Rakak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Bhakti Sundar Govinda Dev Goswami Maharaj ki jai. Srila Bhakti Nirmal Acharya Maharaj ki jai. Sri Chaitanya Saraswata Mat Acharya Brinda ki jai. All the Vaishnava Brinda ki jai. Nitai Gaur Premanandi Hari Hari Bol. Jai Gurudev. Okay, we done?